Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat, our TNA and More show. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Jumping Jim Brunzell.
It's Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And before we start talking about the TNA show, there's something that I wanted to get off of my chest. As you can see, I wear a lot of wrestling t-shirts.
Go ahead.
You want to add to this?
No, I was just fucking with you.
Okay. But anyway, as you can see, I wear a lot of wrestling t-shirts, some of them, for the show. And I was looking yesterday because I wanted to buy some new shirts, and I went on to the Ring of Honor web store. Now I go on there, the two guys I was looking, or the team and a guy I was looking for. First I was looking for Kevin Steen, the World Heavyweight Champion of Ring of Honor. They got two shirts on there, both of them pretty nice. I mean, I'd wear either one of them. But they only got them in small or medium. You're world champion, and a guy my size can't order it. A lot of wrestling fans are larger people. Ring of Honor is not a little kid show. It's not WWE. They don't have little kid gimmicks, so they should have adult size shit to buy. But that wasn't it. Then I go looking, I'm like, okay, they don't have no Kevin Steen. Let me look for the Briscoe brothers. Again, I'm a fan of tag team wrestling. We talked about this many times on the show. And I was looking, and I was like, all right, there's two Briscoe brothers shirts. One that I liked that had kind of a Jack Daniels logo feel to it. Again, only available in small. And then another one that was kind of plain and dumb that they actually had in my size. I didn't like that shirt, though. I liked the other one, but it wasn't available for me. So the thing, I was pissed off because you got a company that's wanting to be the third biggest company in the business, and they can't even get something right where you can order their World Champions Wrestling t-shirt. If you go on the WWE page, you could order fucking 75 different John Cena, 50 different CM Punks. You go on TNA's page, you could buy Austin Aries shirts all day and night, Kurt Angle, any of the guys you want. You can find something for it. That's just something I wanted to get off my chest. I thought it was kind of bush.
Well, my opinion of it is probably they're just trying to force all the shirts out they got in stock so they can go out of business gracefully and not have a whole bunch of back stock left over.
Which is possible, because the show's been terrible as of late. I know you don't even watch it anymore, but it's a bad show.
I used to watch Smoky Mountain. It was better than that.
Yeah. Well, it's being booked like it's Smoky Mountain. And then they're not bringing in the top talent around to the show. They're not, Colt Cabana's not getting booked on there. A guy like Luke Gallows isn't getting booked on there. I mean, it's a top indie federation there is. Why aren't these guys getting booked on here? Guys like Sami Callihan. The different guys out there. Joey Ryan isn't getting bookings there anymore. I mean, it's just, it's coming off very Bush League for a show that's trying to be bigger than that. And that's just my little rant on the experience. I was just a little bit pissed off because I wanted to buy t-shirts. I ended up buying a Tommy Dreamer, a Dudley Boys, which, just can't go wrong with either of those.
Sure can't.
Are you trying to throw a diss out there, GR?
No, I don't. Just fucking with you.
I could have bought an AWA shirt or a Mr. Perfect.
Oh, I've been looking for the Mr. Perfect shirt. I can't find one anywhere. I want an awesome Mr. Perfect shirt. Anyways, I'm not gonna be a chick about it. Just try to fit into a medium.
Yeah, that's happening.
With a shoehorn and shit.
I haven't fit into a medium since fucking 4th grade. But anyway, that's my Ring of Honor rant for the beginning of the show. Sorry I took so much of the time up, but let's go into our TNA show. We got a TNA Impact that opened up with Austin Aries.
And you had Austin Aries coming out there. He's doing really strong, Then, of course, you hear the Hogan music coming, and here goes all his heat. All his wind beneath his wings, because, Hogan has to steal his thunder.
So there goes your theory last week that Hogan stayed in the back, too.
Yeah. Maybe, like you said, it was props up for places for him to prop up the stand on, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because that blew away any theory that Hogan was giving anybody.
And I did like your observation of the wiffle ball bat.
Yeah, it looked like they were carrying wiffle ball bats with tape over them.
Yeah.
It's looked, with high definition television, stuff like that's easy to pick up. And this isn't 1989 anymore where you could get away with it because it's being sold.
And the thing is, they weren't hitting nobody with it. They were props. They should have brought regular friggin' bats out there.
Yeah.
And no one would ever have thought nothing.
Yep.
I mean, you take a guy like Triple H. He is automatic, or he's always said it, almost every time he's been in a ring with a sledgehammer, it's been a real sledgehammer, except for the one time at, was it 18? No. What was the one he faced Taker at? Was it? I think it was 18.
18 or 19, one of those.
Yeah. 17, sorry, because that was when Austin.
It doesn't matter.
But anyways, that's the only time he used a fake bat, or a fake hammer, and said it just didn't feel right.
I thought he used rubber heads on them, but the stick is real.
No, they're all solid, real hammers.
Okay, that's why he holds it as he hits them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense. And, it just, again, looked a little bit Bush League. But you got Hogan and Stain coming out, taking off of Aries heat. Then, the opening was kind of alright. I don't like interviews to open the show. I'd rather have them go right into wrestling.
If it was a stronger interview, I don't care. But with as soon as Sting comes out there
And
Hogan, I mean,
they took the focus off of the world champion Austin Aries, where the focus should be. The world champion should be the most important person.
250-year-old guys shouldn't take the focus off of a 20-something, 30-something-year-old guy that is the world champion.
Yeah.
That the company is supposedly resting all the weight on his shoulders. That's how the champion should be. But nonetheless, here comes Hogan and him, and Hogan and was it Keith? Heath. Sorry, Hogan and Heath coming out there stealing his thunder.
And the Sin Cara botch of the week goes to
Whatever.
Rhodes.
I didn't watch Keith or Keith Ledger, whatever it is, whatever.
It's Heath Ledger. Don't you watch the fucking Dark Knight? It's
Yeah, I
like one
watched
of
it
the
one
biggest
time.
movies ever.
I like the third one better.
Anyway, then they go into the first match of the night, a Bound for Glory story series match. I just did a Sin Cara.
Did you?
It was James Storm versus RVD.
over here.
RVD versus James Storm. An okay match altogether. Nothing really special.
Storm got over.
Yeah, Storm went over.
It was a solid match.
So it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It gave Storm an automatic into the Bound for Glory series. Then after that, you had the ODB squash of Madison Rayne, which really wasn't important. Who gives a shit?
Dude walked outside or walked in the restroom
piss.
to take a piss, and the match was over. That's over? It's like, yeah, dude. She spit shit in her face and hit some kind of funky ass cutter and fender.
And then the important thing of that is Eric Young returned.
Exactly. That was the best part of my night. I like Eric Young. I'm a real solid follower
He makes
of Eric
me
Young.
laugh. He's a funny guy. I like his gimmick. Then after that, you got the Joe versus AJ match. AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. It was a decent match, but the thing is, we've seen so many better matches from the guys.
Well, they're playing off the injury that he got from Magnus with the arm.
Yeah.
So I like it, and Joe played off of it and actually, stole one from AJ or outsmarted him, however you want to look at it.
But it was a decent match. I've just seen better from the two of them, and I expected better. Then, you go to the real low light of the show, the gut shake set.
Gut shake!
Bruce, are you doing your Vince voice again?
Well, I don't think I'm going to work for Vince again, so,
Better off doing the Brother Love voice.
Oh,
But anyway,
I love you!
Anyway, you got the Chris Louis gut check. For once, they got it right. The kid did not deserve a contract. I hope he does eventually get one.
If he gets in shape and don't get blown up after working a match for 5 minutes.
Exactly, and he came out last week, looked terrible. He did look like he didn't deserve the match. Yet the Joey Ryan run-in at the end of it, where he threw the water on Al Snow,
Some shit like that, and Al Snow went after him.
which was cool.
That was the high point of that match.
I like
Or
the
that-
Joey.
that
I like the
segment.
slow build for Joey Ryan eventually coming in. I like the Joey Ryan character. I like what he's done on the Indies. I like the porn star '70s gimmick.
Yeah,
he's got
I think
going on.
it's going to culminate down to Bound for Glory. It's going to be him versus Snow,
Yeah.
and he gets a title, or not a title, but a contract. And he'll end up going over. I mean, he has to, because Al Snow.
And then what we want to talk about now is our question of the week from last week. Gave you guys a question. Who deserves to have their own DVD that hasn't had one made yet? We got a couple answers here. First one's from Chitaro01. I hope I'm saying that right. I would love to see a video on Abdullah the Butcher. He was the most feared man in wrestling for a long time and traveled to just about every league one time or another. I'm sure there are some amazing stories involving him. I would tend to agree. The problem is, does Vince own a lot of this stuff he worked? He worked a lot of the places Vince doesn't own yet. Like I think he worked in Memphis a lot. He worked in Japan a lot, and I don't think Vince owns those because it'd be kind of hard.
Oh, he owned the parts that Lawler owned?
I think he might, or Lawler might let him use them.
Yeah, I mean, Lawler would do anything for a payday.
Yeah, but it would be an interesting one. Definitely something, especially with the controversies recently with him supposedly giving other wrestlers hepatitis. It would be definitely an interesting DVD to watch. I definitely agree with that. Then we got another answer from our friend Paul over at the Deadly Sins, one of our biggest supporters. I wouldn't mind seeing DVDs of female wrestlers when it was the women's division, not this diva crap they're forcing on us. Lita, Trish, and Chyna, not all just jammed into one set, give them their own DVDs. I totally agree. I like Lita's work. I like Trish's work. Chyna, I thought, did some good stuff. Chyna's the only one I don't see it happening because of the thing with Hunter and all. But the other two definitely deserving. She deserves it too. Chyna does deserve it. She was wrestling.
All the women wrestlers, I think she deserves it the most. But like we said, with the whole Chyna and Hunter and Stephanie thing, it's probably never going to happen.
It's probably never going to happen unless, God forbid, she dies and then they decide to do a...
Whenever she ODs.
Yeah.
Deadpool.
We hope she don't. But
no, but, you know.
If Scott Hall could live this long, why can't she?
He's probably pickled.
Anyway.
So what's your choice?
My choice would be a guy that's had a tremendous career. He's retired 7 or 8 different times. The Funker, Terry Funk. I think he could go from his NWA start, his crappy WWF run, his run back in NWA against Flair, his run with ECW, his run at the end. The guy has an amazing... He's got one of the most storied careers in wrestling history, and he's a great talker, so it would be an interesting watch to me. Who do you think would deserve one?
Well, actually, I got 2 guys, but my main guy I want to give you, first of all, because I really think he deserves one, would be Owen Hart. You know, just a DVD of the ribs he did would be phenomenal. Because, I mean, all the classic ribs he's pulled on people, you know, stuff, the stories, you know, it's just awesome to hear. Plus, his matches were phenomenal. I haven't seen Owen really in a bad match. Even when he was young and green, he wasn't really green.
I liked Owen better than Brett.
Oh, he's a better worker than Brett, and plus, he had more emotion into it. He just had a better character, I think.
Yeah, he was it's a good answer. I like that answer. Again, it's another one where they're going to have problems with because of Owen's wife.
And the guy that came in second to me would be the Bulldog.
That's another great answer.
But I liked Owen better than Bulldog. I just thought, you know, he was a better talker.
Yeah, they kind of covered them both on that Heart and Soul DVD, but...
They should have their own.
Yeah, they should. They really both deserve it.
Because even on that Heart and Soul DVD, I mean, even if you go with just Davey Boy, I mean, he had the whole career with the Bulldogs and stuff like that. I like to know some of the inside stuff with that there because, you know, with the Dynamite Kid and all that stuff there, that'd probably be number 3.
Dynamite's kind of bitter with the Vince thing, though. I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, TNA or someone else. I mean, just a DVD period.
Yeah,
he's bitter with life.
Yeah, but he didn't have he had some troubles later on in life from the way he worked, which it's a shame. It really is because he's one hell of a worker that influenced a ton of guys. And then this week's question of the week is, who has been the best TNA World Champion to date? Now that could be TNA or when they were using the NWA title. It don't matter if you want to, you know, the early years with guys like Shamrock and Jeff Jarrett, or some of the newer guys that have gotten it, Austin Aries, whoever you think's been the best TNA champion since they've been a promotion. Let us know. Give us the comments on Facebook, Twitter. Put it down in the comments under the video. Down where?
Down there.
I keep serving it up to him. He keeps hitting it out of the park.
Babe Ruth, bitch.
It's like a fastball that's 5 miles too slow. The retarded kid can even hit it.
I mean, well, you couldn't hit it. Anyways.
But anyway, that's the question of the week for this week. And then we're going to go into the, you had Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy. I think it was the best match of the night.
I do. I honestly, to me, my pick lost. I like Angle way better than Hardy. I think people just give him the kid push and the sympathy pop. Honestly, I really think Kurt's 10 times better worker.
And Kurt is a great worker. I mean, Jeff Hardy, he's got some great moves, but he doesn't have that much ring psychology. You know, I think he's cleaned up his act a lot. It's kind of noticeable. He's been working a lot better matches as of late. Now, how long he stays that way is always a question.
True that, Little John.
It does seem like he has cleaned up his act, and he gives a shit again about wrestling, which it didn't seem like for a long time.
I just don't like Hardy. I think he's a waste. I think his brother's a 10-time better worker. But that's my opinion.
But Jeff gets a bigger pop. And that's all that really matters. I mean, he's the one that puts asses in the seats. He's TNA's biggest merch seller, so he doesn't get in trouble as much when he has a minute and a half match against Sting that fucking stinks to join up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's still, you're the company's world champion. They put everything on you, and you come all screwed up. That's just ridiculous. I would have hired him back, to be honest with you. No matter how much money, because what if he screws around, gets back on his dope or whatever the hell he was on, and hurts somebody?
Yep.
You know?
He could have hurt Sting.
He could have.
I mean, Sting's not a young guy. If he would have hit Sting with the wrong move, he might have put an end to his career like Goldberg did to Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it is what it is. I think the wrong guy went over too. I would have rather liked see Angle go over. But I still think it was a tremendous match. Jeff Hardy looked great in the match. Kurt looked great in the match. Kurt looks great all the time.
Yeah, the thing is, like you were talking about, where Jeff giving a damn again, I think Kurt actually gives a damn again.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. You know, I think these losses that you see in some of these guys that are contracts are coming up soon. I wonder if Kurt's is coming up soon.
That's another thing we want to talk about before we get through this segment. Devon has put on his Twitter that he's pretty much done with TNA. Now he's the TNA TV champion. Are they going to just have him forfeit the title? Is he going to sign a contract where he comes in and loses at the pay-per-view?
I thought he was on the card with you in a tweeter. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe was on that card and lost the belt to...
Well, he wrestled under a mask, so TNA didn't know who he was.
Exactly. And
he was tweeter number 2.
Tweeter number 2.
But anyhow. Then you got, of course, with that, the reports have always been where Devon goes, Bubba's going to go. And that would be a tremendous loss for him. Even more than their TV champion walking away. Bubba Ray Dudley, one of their biggest heels they got, would be a big loss to him, I think.
See, and with this whole, speaking of Bubba, we'll get to the Aces and Eights segment, too. You know, I really wouldn't be having him out there with all those faces. He's the only heel out there. At least send some real solid heels with him to kind of sell it better.
They had guys like Gunner out there.
Yeah, but Gunner's, to me, still, I don't know what Gunner is.
Yeah.
He'll wrestle with face one week, he'll wrestle with a heel. You know, Bubba is a straight-up heel. I would actually just say, just keep him away from that whole situation.
The thing is, they're trying to sell Aces and Eights as a threat to the whole thing, not just the heels or not just the faces.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know.
Again, they got the guy that slapjacked Austin Aries in the back of the head. Another TNA ending with Aries getting hurt again. I mean, I think it's going to lead to them stripping Aries of a title. I'd hate to say that. I think he's got a great worker that's got a lot ahead of him. But that's what it seems to be going to me.
I think that's too soon. You know, the kid's only defended the title one time. You know, I'd at least give him a couple title shots in between there before they strip him of it. I think they're moving this a little too far with him.
Yeah.
But the good thing is the silver lining in this cloud is they're putting their attention on the champion.
Yeah.
In a main storyline, not just Sting and Hogan.
So would you say by default, because most of the night was real actual wrestling competitive matches, would you say the Aces and Eights are heels of the week by default? Because they're the only ones that really did anything.
Yeah, I'd have to give them heel of the week.
Because really, if you look at it up and down the card, there's no other heel action really. It was all straight up matches, which that's okay too.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem with that. Just
I want to see wrestling.
We're fans of the heels, so give us some heels, please.
Yeah.
Bubba should have wrestled on the show, please.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like him.
Oh, we know you like him.
I'm just waiting for the Drop the Bombshell to come back.
Yeah, we might see that coming up soon. But I think if hear anything coming up soon, after that, I think the next thing you're going to hear is "You suck."
Oh yeah.
But
Well, I think Kurt will eventually get another run there, but that's WWE.
All
Like, we're talking about TNA here. But that's basically all we have for the Impact show. You know, we had the little rant about Ring of Honor. Anything else you want to add?
I think we're good.
No other shows like on Animal Planet you want to plug or anything?
Everybody knows I'm talking about my fishing show, Extreme Catches. With Eric Young.
I had to bait you into that one.
Yeah.
Kind of like the fish, you had to fight you to get you on the hook.
I'm telling you.
Anyway, it is a good show. Check it out. I think there's not that many more left, especially since he's back there now. But pretty much that's all we got for the TNA and More version of Heel Heat. I'm George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And we're off to go fishing with Eric.